Disney and Marvel Animation dropped the first trailer for the reboot of X-Men 97. We're going to talk about that. Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Go for a ride down the side. All right, so the X-Men first exploded in my fan life with the premiere of the X-Men movie. We did not, as a family, I mean, my mom, dad, and sister and myself did not go see it in theaters. We waited till it was out on DVD and we watched it. And shortly after it came out, Kids WB, as it was known at the time, released X-Men Evolution. Now, I did not watch X-Men, the 90s animated series, originally because it was on at the same time as a show on a different channel that I liked more. And also, the X-Men were not really on my radar. I was a big Spider-Man and Batman and Sonic the Hedgehog fan as far as comic books go, so I was really in those shows. However, the X-Men made an appearance in Spider-Man the animated series in the 90s, and it was kind of the first MCU for people who don't realize that. In fact, a lot of what you see in the comic books as far as the Spider-Verse was stolen from this 90s Fox Kids show. So Spider-Man had a big crossover with the X-Men, and then after that, because of the success of the movies, Fox Kids started rerunning the X-Men animated series again, and that's was my first encounter with it, and boy was I blown away. The thrilling theme song, the way they have the characters, the way the team dynamic works, its exploration of X-Men storylines. And I really got into the X-Men through, like I said, first the movie, then X-Men Evolution, and then finally X-Men from the 90s. And I really enjoyed it a great deal. Yes, I know there's controversy about the last season not being as good quality because it was a different animation studio, blah, 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 blah. I still liked it. The only one that was dumb was the one where Jubilee is like telling a story to a bunch of children. Yes, that episode is dumb. It's the worst one of the show. However, I did appreciate how it concluded and thought it went off on a good swing. Well, now, as you know, Disney owns Fox, and so they are exploring the X-Men, and they are going to do a revival of that show. They're calling it X-Men 97. And I'm not thrilled with everything. However, I will say the trailer was really cool. It really picks up it where the show apparently is leaving off, where the X-Men are kind of thinking about splitting up, but Cyclops wants to keep them together. We see Magneto, we see people protesting the mutants and things like that. And it has a really good soundtrack to it. The voice cast is okay. It's not as some you can tell some of the people are different than the ones from the 90s, but overall it was a really good trailer. However, people started noticing things. And then, of course, we noticed that there was this weird albino looking character in the trailer. Well, it turns out that that is going to be Morph. So, for those of you unfamiliar with the animated series, Morph was this X-Men who. He was based on a character, I believe his name was Changeling, actually, and he was actually a villain that got killed off pretty early in the X-Men's career, but they brought him on the show as Morph. He got injured by some Sentinels, I believe it was, and he was trying to protect Wolverine, ironically enough, because Wolverine doesn't need protection. So Wolverine always felt guilty about this, and they thought he was dead. Well, it turns out he was alive, but he had been brainwashed by some enemies of the X-Men. And Wolverine, throughout the show, was always trying to locate him, trying to find him. He would encounter him sometimes. And unlike Mystique, Mystique can't duplicate the powers of the people she's changing into. Morph couldn't really do that, but he could increase his strength based on the person that he was imitating. So at least that's what it certainly implied, because I remember there's a very specific one where Wolverine is trying to get Morph to come back to the X-Men, and morphs into Sabretooth, and he overpowers Wolverine and is able to escape once again. So that's what it appears. So this albino character is in fact Morph. Now, when I first saw that, it was going to be Caliban, which again I'm disappointed because he's supposed to be one of the Apocalypse Horsemen, but it turns out it's not him. It was Morph, and like I said, when I first saw the trailer, I saw some things I didn't really care for, but I still got hyped for it because I'm like, this is great. This is a return to the show. It's really exciting. I'm looking forward to it. And then, of course, Disney has to deflate it. Why? They're going to make Morph non binary. And I really don't understand this. In the show, he's clearly a man. He's clearly male. There's no hint that he is any other thing. And this is just another attempt by Disney to please their DEI masters at BlackRock and in politics, just to win points. And they're also saying that he's going to have a special relationship with Wolverine. Okay, Wolverine is straight. And unlike Iceman, who they rewrote, they made it where Jean Grey basically brainwashed Iceman and made him gay. It's a real thing. Look it up. And unlike that, Wolverine is not. He is very straight. Now, I know they did that weird thing where he kissed Cyclops, but that's because the writers at X-Men are terrible now. They've been a long time departed from when Chris Claremont was writing the X-Men. I can tell you that much. But anyway, this is just a more attempt to impress their DEI masters. Disney does not care about you as a fan. They do not care about past lore. They do not care about past establishment of figures. They just want to please these woke investors who want to change what you and I love just to get an easy paycheck or to get likes on social media. You don't have to take it. All right, am I suggesting you not watch it? I'm going to watch it for review purposes because I am incredibly curious. I'm going to see where this is going to go, and we'll take it from there. I don't usually get on boycotts. I did get on board with the Anheuser-Busch boycott, which I am still partaking in. I did get on board with unsubscribing to Disney Plus. I'm no longer a subscriber, and I will find other ways to view this. Not suggesting anything illegal, but I'm going to find other methods. And it just goes into the math of this. If we continue to hit Disney at their bottom line, at their dollars, and say, no, you cannot ruin our shows, our characters, or anything. Now, there is a gaslighting attempt by these fake poser fans who didn't even know who the X-Men were until maybe X3 came out, or they played a video game and they think, oh, I know who the X-Men are, or whatever, who are trying to gaslight you and say, oh, the X-Men, they've always been like this progressive group, this woke group. It's always been that way. Lies, lies, lies. Stan Lee designed the X-Men to be an answer to the Teen Titans. It was not meant to be any sort of this. Now, later on, they did sort of come to represent a marginalized community, sure, but all of this big progressive woke social justice warrior nonsense was never part of the X-Men. It wasn't until much later when Marvel started hiring people who were writing their therapy notes instead of good stories. It's got nothing to do with the X-Men, and do not let them gaslight you. Do not let these social media weirdos gaslight you into thinking that you have to change, that you have to like this. You don't have to like this. You don't owe anyone, much less the big producers at Disney and Marvel Animation, the benefit of the doubt. You do not owe them a thing. They owe you. They are the ones who are supposed to be curating our American mythologies. And yes, comic books are part of that. That's why I'm a big comic book fan. Animation is a big part of that. That's why I'm a big animation fan. Do not let them gaslight you. You do not have to take it. Yes, it's awful that they're going this route, that they're going to let a bunch of weirdos, a bunch of people who are perverts take over our beloved franchises. Buy the old stuff, buy X-Men Days of Future Past, buy the original series on DVD, get physical media. Do not let them rewrite your history. Do not let them abuse you and gaslight you. It's not worth it. You can take a stand with your wallet. I would suggest go check out X-Men Evolution, get it on DVD. It was the only show where Cyclops was cool, although they are going to make an attempt to make him look cool in this series. Check out Wolverine and the X-Men. It was a very short-lived but good animated series about X-Men. It was actually in the same universe as Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and Spectacular Spider-Man. So definitely check that out. Like I said, read the comic books like X-Men Days of Future Past. Get, the Onslaught saga. Get anything you can get your hands on. I would say kind of pre-2012. That's when sort of the woke nonsense started to drip into Marvel comic books specifically. DC tried to resist for a little bit longer thanks to the editors that they had at the time, but now they've just given up and they're letting all the woke crap get into their stuff. And I would just say support those older things. Let Marvel and Disney know you are not going to take this. Now, like I said, I don't know where they're going to go with the show. Maybe it's just going to be in the undertones, which isn't better, but at least it's in the undertone. But the way Disney has been working, where they're just caving so much to the alphabet mafia, to these people with all these lobbies, the pervert lobby, the maps, I just think that it's not going to go the way we want it to. And you know what? If that's what happens, don't just sit there and bemoan it. I can give my commentary. I'm happy to share my thoughts with you, obviously, but I'm going to do something about it. Like I said, I'm going to buy the older stuff. I'm going to enjoy the older stuff, and I'm going to have fun with it. You don't have to take it anymore, and don't let people gaslight you. That's the main two things. You don't have to take it, and don't let people gaslight you. You are a real fan, and those posers on social media who, they'll put like a real, some of them are grown men putting like creepy underage women or girls as their avatars and then trying to tell you that you should be more inclusive. Yeah, get away from me, creep. It's so stupid. Just ignore them and have a good time, meet with friends. And you know what? One final thing I'll say, I used to be against gatekeeping. I'm very pro gatekeeping now because it's the only thing that's keeping these perverts who are trying to infiltrate our fandoms at bay. So, like I said, enjoy the older stuff. Don't let them gaslight you, and gatekeep. And we may have to do this with this new X-Men cartoon, whatever the case may be. I really hope that you will join me. And like I said, I'm going to review it. So if you want to wait to see my review before you watch it, or if you want to go ahead and watch it, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just letting you know my plan and how I think we should approach this matter. Cause I've been living